Good afternoon to everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you in the afternoon sessions of our web conference. My name is Georgios Floridis, and I will be the moderator for the next three presentations. I am currently the president of the Cyprus Safety and Health Association, and I am glad that we managed to co-organize this conference with Management Force and the Democritus University of Thrace under these conditions, I mean the pandemic conditions. Cyprus Safety and Health Association support every effort for collaboration and promotion of the health and safety issues. Yesterday, we had a fruitful discussion about Vision Zero and how we can move beyond zero incidents. In this session, entitled Delivery Safety Beyond Our Boundaries, we will continue to elaborate on the issue and try to look into practical ideas and suggest innovative ways for an organization to go beyond the expected compliance and the reflection of such an approach. We have with us two distinguished professionals who would share with us their views and experience on this issue. Unfortunately, one of our speakers couldn't join us for personal reasons, and therefore we will have more time for the presentation and for further discussion by the end of the session. I am anxious to hear the views and presentations of our speakers. The first topic in this session is promoting safe drive. The first topic is exporting safety, supporting, and a sustainable world. I would like to invite Dr. Panopoulos to share with us his view and experience on this topic. Dr. Georgios Panopoulos, CEO, Management Force Group, is one of the pioneers in the safety business in Southeast Europe. Georgios has reached a deep 32 years experience in safety management, possesses a superior academic background with a PhD in the economic aspects of safety, accompanied by a degree in civil engineering with a master thesis in health and safety in the construction sector. He has served in key safety positions for major organizations and infrastructural projects. In 1999, he founded Management Force, a safety company which today accounts an experience of projects in 24 countries around the globe. His frequent invited lecture to the National Technical University of Athens and the Democritus University of Thrace. Since 1999, Georgios leads Management Force Group, EHSS engineers and consultants, a leading EHSS provider in Southeastern Europe, following a sustainable development with emphasis on the quality of the services, innovation, and the working environment in becoming a consultant of choice and an employer of choice. Dear Yorgos, the floor is yours.
Thank you, George. Thank you very much. Hello, Paolo. Hello to all of you. Well, I suppose we have to say good evening to those in the East, good afternoon to us in Europe, and good morning to those in the America. You see, the COVID gave us the opportunity to go on air, an event that normally takes place in Athens for 12 years. And now we grabbed the opportunity to go into air and speak to the globe. What an opportunity. So let's think a problem can offer a lot of opportunities, and we have to stick with that. What I would like to discuss today with you and to share with you and discuss with you is a new approach in regards to safety, a more global approach, a more holistic approach, because holistic approach used to be something used in the past. So let me share the screen, if I will manage, because it will not be a surprise for me not managing to do that. To the contrary, I would be very much impressed if I would manage this at once. So, is it there? Yes, it is. All right.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, thank you. So, we will discuss about exporting safety to support sustainable world. Would not say sharing, because what we used in the past is sharing our knowledge. No, we have to export. It includes also some kind of selling, trying to sell and trying the other to buy in. So I prefer that. And we do that also in our company, if you like, where, as George said, we try to be a consultant of choice and also an employer of choice. Perhaps the first to be easier, the second, I think, is more difficult. But we should have an objective in our mind. And the objective we have is a nice world, a happy world, a sustainable world. But for a world to be happy and sustainable, has to be safe. I cannot imagine of a world to be happy if not safe. And what we used to say for many, many years in the past, in our companies, our primary responsibility or target is to get our people back home safe, is not enough, because the people have to come to work, how to go to their home, but also you may have people driving trucks, people driving vehicles, equipment, traveling throughout the country, salesmen or saleswomen, and then they may go home safe, but they may cause an accident to somebody, to a young person. So they went home safe themselves physically, but not the others. And again, our designers, our engineers, they went home safe back, as safe as they came, but they made a bad design, an unsafe design. So it's not that simple as used to be or as we thought it was. In fact, we allow and we rehearse risks and expose of ourselves to risk without realizing this many, many times, every day perhaps. So what we should think and what we do in our company is have this primary objective and develop methodologies, practices, approaches, tools, and expand this in the area where we work. And we work together with our clients and also the local communities and the local organizations. And what I try to discuss with you is based on a very broad experience we have in the last 20 or more years, if you like, since I'm already 32 years in the business. So going back in 60s, 70s, early 80s, everything was very, very basic. Reactive approach, not align what the law says. Then 85 to 10, some mottos, safety first, what a motto. I never agreed with that. Have systems in place, start talking about the economics of safety, and also the economy transforming from 4G to 5G. And today, the approach is holistic, is complete. We need 360-degree approach, vision, behavioral-based safety, safety culture, soft skills, sustainable. Sustainability is the key word. So, in fact, it's not anymore safety an engineer's job. What's the problem? What's the solution? It's about a mindset shift that has to take into consideration and align us with the changing world and make a new way of thinking in order to stay sustainable. Well, this may represent an organization top to bottom. All right, everything is clear, the policies with BOD, and the workforce follows the instructions. And if we represent every single person in this organization with a vector, then the resultant will give us, say, the overall safety performance. So there are some very negative people, some performing very low in safety, or maybe they are risk themselves. And this is what we get. And that was the old-fashioned organization, not aligned. Yes, we have the departments, but they don't speak each other. They don't work together. And for many companies, for many businesses, the default model is the old model. And the problem is how we transform our businesses from this old model, the very, say, reactive approach or legislative approach, to the new model about the sustainable world. And what we look now is for that organization that is very aligned, and it gives a much, much better performance. The departments, they work each other together, because I don't see why, let's say, a lighting issue is a safety issue only. We have this, say, fluorescent lamps. They run out 5 times instead of 1 time. A LED one will run out. So I have to change 5 times the lamps. And in this case, I have my lamps, fluorescent lamps, out. So dark places or poor lighting. So it's a safety issue indeed, yes. But it's not only that. I have to make my calculations and say, it's not only the lighting. Every time I have to change the lamps, I have to take a certain actions, including perhaps working at heights. And all this work includes some hazards and risks. So instead of doing once in a lifetime of a LED, I have to make this 5 times. So it's not only lighting itself, it's also maintaining the good lighting. And again, it's more complicated because you have to take offers about lamps. You have to order the lamps, deliver the lamps, store the lamps, get the invoice, keep the books, pay the supplier, get the lamps from the where you keep it, replace the lamps, the damaged ones, and then dispose the damaged lamps. It's more complicated. It's not that easy as used to be. And it's not only one department to work together in order to bring a solution which is the most sustainable, has the best footprint in regards in terms of sustainability. Sorry, I went too fast. And is that only this? It's only our organization? No, it's not only this. It's our organization with instruction top to bottom and information bottom to top, but also is our contractors, our consultants, our suppliers, our designers, everybody that works around us. So you see, our organization, or what we have to think about, it becomes bigger and bigger. And is that only that? And it's only this? No, it's more than that. Because what we get from the environment is information, is legislation, is existing infrastructures, and what we expose to the environment of this wide organization as information, as waste, as emissions, as experience. And where does this go and where this comes from? State authorities, international financing institutions, associations, unions, institutions for infrastructures, environment as a whole. And again, going down to the workforce. Well, the workforce come from their environment and they go back to their environment. So they bring, I remember Anka said yesterday that somebody having family problems will probably come with the family problems to work. Cannot say, oh, now I enter the plant, okay, another mode, plant mode, I forget everything about my problems. And how could you make sure that the phone will not ring and somebody call from the family, somebody from the bank? Do you stop this? No, you don't stop. We don't stop this. We cannot stop this. So on the other hand, we have our local communities, our societies, families, culture, traditions, infrastructures. I heard before the question about how you deal with people talking different languages. Yes, it's here. So what we thought is enough, I mean, to deal with safety within our organization seems to be so little with what we have to do. Well, with what we have to take into consideration. So it's a big world we have to think. It doesn't mean that it's a lot more work to do. No, it's not. It's simply different way to approach. It's not only the safety department doing safety. Everybody's doing safety. Everybody's doing environment. Everybody's doing quality. Everybody's doing a little bit of production. So it's just a different approach. And this is very well captured here by the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. It's about the science-based technology buildings, the approach that explains why, when we think about the project, it starts from where we get our aggregates and ends to you as a guest in one hotel, or to you as a consumer of what this plant will produce, or you as a user of a motorway. So it's all the way along the supply chain. And at every single element of this, we should consider, are we sustainable? Or how can we become more sustainable? How can we leave the best footprint we can? And the guideline perhaps can be the Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations, 17 that capture everything we should do. And talking about safety, apparently, first is decent work and economic growth. Well, who can doubt, who can debate that when we do whatever we do as businesses, we should offer to people very decent work, very decent environment. In fact, protect them from being exposed to unnecessary risks. So safety is here, and good health and well-being, well, I think it's so straightforward today, talking about good health and the pandemic era. and nobody could add anything to that. It's self-explanatory. And further than that, sustainable cities and communities and road safety is included there. Is what, from where we started today, that our salespeople, our truck drivers, they travel around, they transfer goods, so road safety is a must. And responsible consumption and production. Really, what we discussed about the lighting before is just risks to people, is just money, or is more than that? Because responsible consumption means that instead of using 5 fluorescent lamps, I may use 1 LED lamp. Oh, right. So one has to prove that the footprint for the environment, CO emission approach, if you like, or measurement, for 1 LED, it's more than the 5 fluorescent lamps, which in fact doesn't seem to be very difficult to answer, because it's not only to produce, you have to transport, you have to store, and then you have to dispose. And at the end, we have partnerships for the goals. Thank you, all of you, for yesterday and for today, speakers, moderators, and participants, because what we do now, these 2 days, is a partnership for the goals. We share experience, and we discuss how we can be more sustainable, how we can be more safe. But safety is a key element, a fundamental element. I heard this from the lips of Maria Alexiou, the CSR Hellas and CSR Hellas chairman and CSR Europe member, saying safety is a fundamental for sustainable world. Right, so now we understand what we have in front of us, and things are changing. International financing institutions, equity funds, now they wait to put the money somewhere that somebody, the beneficiary, has to prove that meets environmental and social governance standards. Not only has papers in place, not only talks nice words, yes, we have a policy and we have this and we have that. No, can you please tell me what you have done and what are your results? And this will happen anywhere in the world. It's not just for Europe, because Europe, we have developed countries, or the America or whatever else. It's all around the world, so you don't get any money, or probably you will get easier money, or you can borrow money with less cost. So that's why we have to export safety. But it's not enough to say, no, it's not enough to say. We have to train the people. We have to tell the people. We have to convince the people. We have to sell safety to our local partners, because it can be a government, can be the licensing authorities or the enforcing authorities in a country that still is struggling with safety, can be the stakeholders, the local communities. Well, we can give thousands of examples. Can somebody in Europe think, well, in this country, not far from where we live, perhaps, have so many railway fatal injuries because of crossing the rails, which is unprotected, unguarded, leveled. Well, if you speak about this in UK, they will think you talk nonsense. No, it's not. They also involve businesses, support businesses, educational institutions, professional bodies, and there is no end to the list. And when we go, say, in our project, we have our engineering companies, our manufacturers, suppliers, main constructors, subcontractors, consultant services providers. And some of them, it doesn't mean they are the very, very top European or American firms, can be also local because also when we have, for instance, a public-private partnership project, you will be asked as an investor to use also the local companies for two reasons. Employment is one, but them also to gain experience, and perhaps them is to operate the project. So we have to let them know, to try to make them understand, then to feel what we're talking about, to digest this knowledge. It's very different between yes, I know, yes, I understand, and yes, I know how to do it. And finally, if you like, we are free people, they can accept or may not accept. But in this process, we have to take into consideration localities, language, business culture and ethics of the area, values, legislation, infrastructure, policies, systems, technology, economics. It's not that simple, it's not difficult, it's possible, it can happen. In previous years, there were a lot of programs run by European Union, for instance, EBRD, another organization, to build capacity, either short-term or medium-term or long-term programs. And there are still such programs in place. But now we have another tool, financing and funding. As we said, you will not get money. It will be very difficult to borrow money, or you can borrow with high cost, whilst another organization that will prove that has ESG targets and these have been met will borrow with a discount. So will be more attractive and will make better business. So safety is not only good business, safety is sustainable business. Safety makes money. And I borrow here what Svein Tore Holsether, the presidency of YARSA. Business leaders have a huge responsibility and opportunity by changing behavior and unlocking the incredible potential of the green economy. So that's the word we're looking for. Us as management for would like to be a consultant of choice because this is sustainable business, also an employee of choice, meeting some of the goals of the sustainable development and offering decent work apparently, but also to offer this to our clients. And at the end of the day, what we say for many, many years, safety is an element of civilization, because civilization is to respect the others, to make sure that you do your best to offer the best solution for them to be happy. Because what we're striving on, what we're striving at is a safe, a happy world. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Yorgo, for the very interesting presentation regarding innovative issues on health and safety. The holistic approach on health and safety issues is, of course, a way of thinking in order to create a sustainable business, to approach the workers as a human and create a new environment, especially nowadays where a lot of people start working from home. We discussed all these issues in previous sessions. The problems arises from the working from home. So I think we have a long way to go until we reach the level that we're talking about today. I'm sure we will have a fruitful discussion by the end of the session. Please, I forgot to mention from the beginning of the session, give all your questions will be received and answered by the end of the session. So meanwhile, please write your questions, your ideas, your thoughts, and by the end of the session, we will have από την αρχή. So let's now move to the last but not least presentation in the session. Comes from Mr. Paolo Sambianchi, who will give us his view on the subject Safety Builders, our safety leadership development program. He will share with us the development of a model of leadership in health and safety that triggers a strong commitment in project management team in order to avoid work-related incidents. Activated engagement dynamics on health and safety throughout the project organization. And as a health and safety executive culture project and training coordinator in WeBuild, he is in charge of new projects in terms of health and safety executive, including innovative and new technologies, developing culture, and coordinating training activities. The most important activities are focused on company safety leadership development program called Safety Builders, acting as coordinator and senior facilitator of the program focused on reaching zero accidents, or better, let his colleagues go back home healthier than they came to work, gets the maximum benefit from their work, taking care of environment. This is the vision he had in the last 22 years of experience in construction, oil and gas and industry sector, acting during these years as a trainer, safety officer, and safety specialist. He is promoting healthy and safe way of living as an ambassador of an Italian safety culture movement and as a self-development trainer. Dear Paolo, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Georgios, if I pronounce it right, perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. So, thank you for this presentation. Thank you for this opportunity of being here. Thank you also to my company, WeBuild, and also to Alex Spiridonis, that is an HNC manager of ours in our project in Umlafina. So as you mentioned it, I've got a vision. I want to see my colleagues be healthier due to their job. That's my vision. That's how I spend my energies in coordinating HNC training, innovation, and culture in WeBuild. And let me say that I'm really proud to be here. I thank also Mr. Panopoulos, because as Italian, it's marvelous to me to be in a Greek event talking about culture. It's an amazing opportunity. Inside the Greek Agora, I can talk about culture. Why I'm here? I'm here to talk about an emotional transformational program, highly effective and truly innovative. That's what is Safety Builder about. Why this program? Why me? Let me tell you a little story about emotional transformation. It was 9 years ago. I was in my office, in my previous company, looking for technical video. In that moment of my life, I thought that technical training was the solution, was the way to change the behavior of people, was the way to let people go home safely. That was my vision. And I thought that technical training was enough to this. Then I started to use videos. But in that occasion, I started to see a video with an unexpected content. Instead of a technical one, I started to see this video. In this video, there are two men talking each other inside an office. And one tells the other that he had received another fine for speeding. The other smiles and tells that it doesn't happen to him anymore because he knew exactly where all the speed cameras are. I felt immediately like him, because in that moment of my life, I always knew all the speed cameras were, where all the speed cameras were. Then these two gentlemen went out from the office, and the scene changed, and we see two children, a smaller one, a little girl, and an older one, a boy. And the boys tell the little girl, they are late, they need to hurry up, because maybe dad is already arrived. They are into a school, and they start to went outside. Then the scene changes again, and we see a young girl talking with her friends. But then she takes a look on the clock, and she realizes that it's late. So she gets in the car and skids away. Then the last scene, we see a school, we see a car in front of the school on the other side of the road with the gentleman, the one from the beginning, the one who knew where all the speed cameras are, seated in his car. And then we see the two children. The little girl saw this gentleman and said, "Oh, daddy is really already arrived." So she started running towards her dad. She needs to cross the road, and she did it without looking. At the moment, the late girl's car is arriving. She is driving fast, and so she doesn't even have time to brake, and she hits the child. In that real moment, I felt the pain of losing a child. But also, maybe for the first time in my life, I felt the responsibility of being someone who can kill someone's child. Believe me that night I drove home very slowly. But then I need to confess, in a month, I was back to my bad behavior of speeding. It was like the memory of that video was closed into a box with a written on it, "Just slow down." That is the name of the video. And that box was closed inside my brain at the bottom of everything else. And maybe it will never come back if someone or something hadn't called him back. But a few days later, I went to America for a few days for work. I was on this 4-lane road, and in a moment, for small road works, they lowered the limit from 100 to 80 kilometers per hour. Come on. It seems to me ridiculous, even 100 kilometers and now 80. So I got angry and I pushed on the accelerator. I started to pass someone on the right, and then I saw a picture. It was not a road sign. It was just a picture with a written on it. On that picture, there are children, and the written said, "My daddy works here. Please slow down." Slow down. That was immediately reactivated the memory of that video, making me relive the experience. But this time, even stronger, let me say. Because, first of all, I identified myself as the girl. And of course, there's nothing I can do, no matter how good I was in driving, if someone will shift from his lane to mine, or if a tire explodes. I hadn't checked tire's condition before I leave with a rental car. But then also I realized that if I invest one of these workers, and between me and them there are only road cones, they won't be able to go home to their children tonight. And since I recently became a dad for the second time in that moment, I think about how my children and my wife would have felt if I hadn't come home. And from that real moment, I have completely, deeply changed my way of driving, believe me. My wife can confirm. The good news is it was not necessary to kill someone. There was no tragedy. It was just fiction. It was just a video. It was just a sign, a picture. Psychologists call it corrective emotional experience, and it was, believe me. And fortunately, there was no tragedy, as I said. So the people can change their behavior, maybe with some things. And with the Safety Leaders program and the presentation I'm going to share with you, we can see a little bit these tips. First of all, I will share my presentation. I hope it works. It's always, it can be always a technical issue, but it works right now, I think. Okay, let me set the presentation mode. Perfect. Okay. As I said, I love videos. I'm always used to use video in my presentation, in my training, and so I decided to use a video in order to describe our 2020, the 2020 of my company, but maybe the 2020 of many people. I think this is our 2020.
Think about it. This year, we sought answers to questions like never before. How to change the way we live. How to meet each other. Where to exchange ideas. At times, we simply dreamed of being elsewhere. During this extraordinary year, when everything seemed to come to a halt, we kept on moving and growing, becoming bigger and stronger, all the while ensuring the health and safety of our men and women. We searched for ways to move faster and more safely, making mobility even more sustainable. We shortened distances, bringing remote places closer together. We strengthen our commitment to adopt innovative technologies to produce clean energy and make water cleaner and available to everyone. During this extraordinary year, we kept our pledge to improve the lives of millions of people all over the world. In our search for new challenges, we found ourselves with a new identity and a new idea for a sustainable future, all together.
Why we decided to implement this program? It's simple, because we believe in safety. I strongly believe in our ability and the leadership style we have shown over the years to carry off the most complex challenges in the world. I would like our new culture of safety to permeate our entire community, so that our group is acknowledged as a global leader for the safety of its men and women. These are the words of Mr. Pietro Salini, our CEO. And these are our performance. 6 consecutive years of decreasing number of injuries, 25% less accidents rate versus 2018, more than 154,000 hours of H&S training just for the direct personnel. Training that is a part of what we called value, our health and safety way, that won in 2019 the Silver Award by ROSPA, the Royal Society for the Prevention of Accident, and the Gold Award in 2020. And we are really proud of this. Value, it's a merge of two words, value and you. And it's also a merge of many different things, not only training, but from communication campaign to life-saving rules, from innovation technology in safety to celebration and contests about safety, from events with theatrical pieces to Safety Builders program. That is a very important asset of our value program. The Safety Builder program has too many objectives, like Georgios mentioned before. We aim to develop a model of leadership in H&S that triggers a strong commitment in project management team in order to avoid work-related incidents, starting from the real top of the company, then the management of the branch, if there is, and then the top managers of that specific project. And also to activate an engagement dynamics on health and safety throughout the project organization. How? With many different tools. The main are engaging and highly interactive workshops, communication and training sessions, a strong video message from the CEO. And also in that message, the CEO said that everyone is allowed to intervene. It's what we call an intervention mandate. It's like, sometimes I joke, it's like the license to kill of 007, James Bond. In this case, it's the license to save someone's life. Because if you are allowed to intervene, of course you can do something, but how? There is a safety intervention tool, what we call SAFER. That is a very powerful training in order to better understand why it's important always to intervene, how to intervene in unsafe and safe behavior. Talking about positive reinforcement, like Bill Sims talked about yesterday. And also a film with an intense and emotional impact. Why a film? Because when you see a drama, you can easily enter inside what is called perceive mode. What does it mean? If you see a deep truth inside that story, you start to be engaged with that story. You start to empathize with the characters. You start to suspend your judgment and lose your intellectual barrier. And if the characters are so close to yours and the roles of your colleagues, and if the story is so close to yours, and if you see that film with all your colleagues around you, with the same feeling, in a growing thrill atmosphere, magic happens. Magic happens, thanks to emotions. I will let you see the trailer of our film, so maybe you can get some of what I said right now. This is the trailer of our film.
Papa works at the building site where they're making a big long tunnel under a very high mountain. To make the hole in the tunnel, they use a big drill and also explosives. It is quite dangerous, but Papa says that the builders are very careful and have special clothes to protect them.
We're blasting at this place. You worked tunnels before?
They rev us up. The authority will shut us down. But if we finish those walls before the rain hits...
We're using materials faster than we can move them. If you can spare a forklift, that'd be good.
I need to borrow Stefan and his forklift to work at the shaft.
You slow us down.
Just find a way.
When I grow up, I want to work on a building site with my dad. We are going to build the tallest building in the world.
Even if I saw it many times, believe me, I have goosebumps as well, because as you saw, it's a very effective film where emotions are really embedded in it. This is a structure on how we use the the tools I mentioned before. There are workshops, there are role-play training. We involve managers, senior managers, supervisor, foreman, and also all the workers inside the project. The first three tools are very useful in order to trigger the commitment and engage dynamics. We start to implement the program with the tool number 1, and then along the way, we start to use the other tools. But also, when we start with the tool number 1, we also start with the tool number 4. That is a very important part. What happens when we start the program in a project? Usually the participants start to do something new or much more, something more about safety. Right now, we had 126 workshops from Australia and Middle East to Europe and South America, with more than 2,000 people involved, manager and supervisor, and more than 10,000 hours in 4 years of implementation. And let me say, in the last 2 years, was mainly online, and the activity was not so much. For example, excuse me, in Umlafina project, the project in which my colleagues Alexandros Spiridonis is the HNC manager, they started to implement a few months ago the program, but they already have a very good lagging performance, 0 LTI. But what happened after they started to implement the program? They saw an increasing in number of training hours, in number of JSA, in number of toolbox talk, in number of safety walk and inspection, hazard observation drills, improvement notice. And you can say, okay, nothing is disruptive in itself, nothing so effective standalone. Yes, absolutely, it's true. The secret was the consistency. This is the magic word. After we start with the program, the cascading effect especially produce a huge number of single behaviors that change the project. Simon Sinek made this example. If you want to prevent a teeth disease, caries, for example, it's useless if you brush your teeth once a week for a couple of hours. But if you brush your teeth every day for just 2 minutes, maybe a couple of times, you can trust on preventing teeth disease and caries. That's what we want to have. Single behavior, always, every day, starting from the top managers to every single formal leader or informal leader of the organization. And what happened when the people start to see that the managers, the leaders start to do regularly thinking about safety? They start to do the same without even thinking about it. And that's what we want to have, an invisible safety. As Giorgio said, he don't like safety first expression, safety first motto. Me too. I prefer, as Paul O'Neill said, is a precondition. Absolutely. We want to have an invisible safety. And we stress out this concept in this very last video. And then let me do a final greeting after this video.
At the root of everything, there are fundamental but invisible elements. Atoms in the universe. Water for growth. Love in life. Colors in a painting. Musical notes in a symphony. Safety in every moment. We know that safety is fundamental in every action, in every moment, for everyone. Safety is life. value our health and safety way.
It's all about that. Safety is life. In the video, we saw some trees that we planted in the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Cultural Center that is in Athens. And I choose a proverb to close my speech. Many people say it's a Greek proverb, many others not, but who cares? It's a marvelous proverb. A society grows great when old men plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit in. That's our vision. That's the vision of my colleagues, Maria Grazia, Michele, and Andrea, and of course of everyone inside the company. So just start to do something. Just start to plant a safe tree, maybe it can be. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Paolo, for the interesting and emotional presentation. I think that your vision, as you stated in your CV, let his colleagues go back home healthier than they came to work, gets the maximum benefits from their work, taking care of the environment. This is the target. This is the holistic approach in a simple word and expression. Thank you very much for this presentation. So we'll have a few questions. We'll have time, so we can move to the questions. The first question is a couple of questions, and Dr. Panopoulos,
Okay, George, I think I see the question, so I can.
See, all right.
George?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, I see the question, so I read the question and answer.
All
Before that, Paolo, mille grazie. Superb. Please tell me when is your next presentation to come and join and attend.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Molto bene,
So the
molto
first
bene.
question is about the internal communication, especially in big organization. Yes, it's an issue. Well, it's not only in a big organization, it's also in a small or medium organization. And it's very simple. I think Paolo touched this matter. Everything starts from the top. Well, if you want to communicate your message, start top to bottom and show them that you listen to what they are talking about. Also use a very 360-degree approach within organization. When you have an issue, don't think this is your baby. You are not alone. You are a team. You work all together. We discussed about this changing from fluorescent to LED. So you have technical department, maintenance department, safety, procurement. Everyone should be part of this, communicate and share knowledge. Bear also in mind, I heard that many, many years ago from somebody who was much younger than me, and I learned from him that we base our knowledge in the knowledge we have. Once then you talk to me about and you communicate about legal issues, this may help me to the extent I can understand, or to the extent I can understand, yes, with other issues, very different to legal issues. So communication from top to bottom, and not also share the information, but learn to listen. I remember Prodromos Papavasiliou uses this. Well, a good manager today is not the manager who tells you what to do, is the manager who listens what you want to tell him, to tell her. Okay? So that's about the communication.
Thank you.
About well-being. Well, about well-being, I will do that. I read this before. I'll show you how easy it is, and it's a culture issue. You see, I came across the situation many times, and really I discuss, now, what am I doing here in this company? They're struggling to get a safe scaffold in place. They pretend they don't know how is a safe scaffold. And talking to students at the university, I started with this. Well, it's a cultural issue, it's not a technical issue. Even if you're a very young engineer and you want to see how a safe scaffold is, go to the Google, say scaffold safety, you've got at least 85% of the information, accurate information that you need. Unless your scaffold is very, very unique, very particular design. And then you go to experts. So what I will do now, I will do the same, if you allow me, jump quickly to the internet. Well, I suppose I'm here, if I'm not wrong. Is that not?
Okay, yes, we can see it.
Right. And if you Google Goal 3 Sustainable Development Targets, then you get the list of what the United Nations describes as targets for health and well-being.
Right.
So anything under this will be there. I understand this is more global, it's more global, but you understand that well-being means going to, now I have to go out of this, stop serving, right? Okay, I managed, very impressive. All right, so talking within an organization, you have to arrange that people will have good time. And Paolo, you said, make your life better through your work. So you have to have good time at work. So really, you need a nice restroom, yes. Clean toilets, yes. Music, perhaps, if this does not disturb, yes. Nice colors, yes. All this is little elements here and there, and you can do it. Do it, it's easy, it's not that difficult, but you cannot do everything at once. You have, keep working on this direction. Well, another one. Well, I leave questions now from my side. Paolo, if you allow me, George, I will not finish with all the questions, so Paolo will have the time to answer some of the questions.
Yes, we can answer a few questions referred to Paolo's, and then we'll come back because we have enough time. Depending on the time, we can do. So, Paolo, can you see the questions, or,
yes.
or shall I read it out?
Yes, if you want, I can read it. So someone asked, you start your speech, Stefano Pancari, hi Stefano. You started your speech saying that your vision is to let your colleagues be healthier due to their jobs. Do you think it's possible? Do you think it can be a mission for every HSE professional? As Georgios already said, absolutely it can be, and we need to go straight to that point. It's a different era right now. We are not more reactive. In the reactive era, we are starting to have this holistic vision, and of course, it's the health. It's a part of H&S. We always talk about HSE, H&S, but sometimes we forget the H. We just look at the S, okay, and also the E, the environment. So we need also to take into account this element. We need absolutely to believe that it's possible, and it is really possible. And also, as Simon Sinek said as well, you start to perceive that you are in a circle of safety. when you perceive that your boss, your colleagues around you are taking care of your health and safety. So you start to do the same, as I said. So it's a very possible way. And also, you, Georgios, asked, is the emotional way sufficient enough to improve health and safety? Unfortunately not, but as Georgios, Mr. Panopoulos said, I've written it, yes, I know it is different that yes, I accept it, absolutely. And through the emotion, you can accept something, only through knowledge, maybe you know it, but you cannot accept it, you cannot share it. Through the emotion in our workshop, we try to share a feeling, an emotion together, and it's really a massive effect. Right now that we cannot organize in person our workshop is less effective, let me say, online, even if we project it very well, but when you have energies around you, when you have your colleagues around you with the same feeling, with the same energy, it's an exchange of energy, of emotion, and it's very yes. Good. It's very
yes. I strongly believe on that. We had some improvement in the use of helmet, safety helmet in our organization, using previous fatal accident where the safety helmet was absent, not on his head, and that was the reason he lost his life. Using this after years, as an example, comparing with the cost of a hard hat of 10 or 12 euros, losing your life. So we managed to make our staff to behave more consciously and using now their hard hats more consciously. So I believe that it works. Sometimes it works very well. Anyway,
about PPE, we realized a campaign called Tranche de Vie, that is in French, and there are two pictures. One picture is about the PPE in itself, and the other it's a picture with a message. And for example, about ear protection, we put the picture of the earplugs, and then an image of a concert written, Andrew, always take his earplug with him in the construction site. Oh. And this night, he's enjoying the concert of his favorite band.
Well, next question.
Well, George, before we go to the next question, I grabbed the opportunity about PPEs.
Yes.
And to share with you a discussion I had with one client, to whom I said, when they were very proud about ordering a big quantity of helmets, well, it was time ago, because I think PPEs is the absolutely basic today. We should think about more, say, holistic things. But they believe they made a very good purchase of something very cheap, but there was no CE mark at all. So I said, shoot them away. Should not be allowed anyone to use them. And now the discussion was about saving 2, 3 euros, 4 euros per PPE. What they ignore, though, is the overhead to what they have done. It's to maintain your scouting and the procurement department to find the cheap ones, to communicate with the supplier, to order this from abroad, to clear at the customs, to transport to the site, to store at the site, to share, to deliver to the people. So this cost might be, say, 5 euros
or more
per helmet or whatsoever. And then they were talking about the few euros they saved per helmet, offering first no cover for the people and also exposure to the law. and being uninsured because the insurance company will not cover. So going back to communication, you see how in the communication we discussed before, based on the question had been asked, is that insurance expert will interfere to the discussion. Right, Anita Zviderek made a very nice question. Well, you said before that the best way to convince everybody, well, what is the best way to convince everybody that safety matters concern us all, not only health and safety department? Well, one should be very stupid. One must be very stupid to leave his good status, his health, to a safety department and not take care himself or herself. So you rely to the others and not to himself to the extent that can do that. And at the end of the day, safety department cannot be everywhere.
Yes.
Take, for instance, a truck driver moving from one city to another. What the safety department can do for this driver? Nothing. Think of a crane operator. So, what the safety department? The safety department supports, trains, informs, motivates, consults. But at the end of the day, who is doing any piece of work or any piece of life action, go to an excursion, go fishing, driving, go to see my relatives, go to a bar, anything. Safety is life, huh, Paolo? So it's one thing, I'm doing something, and this something must be done safely. It's one thing. It's not production and safety. That was very old-fashioned approach. One thing, and do it safely. I hope, Anita, you are happy with the answer.
Paolo, would you like to proceed to the next question?
Oh, yes, I can see by Roland, Lishi Roland.
Yes.
What has been the most challenging elements in the never-ending process of cultural change? Well, first of all, let me say that sometimes I use as well the word change, but I prefer to use cultural transformation or improvement, because many people tend to think about the word change in a worst way. Because when you think about the word change, maybe you think I'm going to lose something because I need to change. If you need to change your phone, of course, you need to leave your old phone and bring another one. And maybe the new one has got some differences and you're not used with these differences. So maybe it's better for me to use improvement or to use transformation in culture, but it's just an element. But the most challenging element it's the multicultural environment in which we are. We have got 70,000 people, 115 different nationalities. And we work abroad in 90 countries, if I remember right. And of course, cultures are completely different from Ethiopia to Australia, from UK, as you mentioned, and now also Mr. Stilling talked about UK approach to US. And it's not that easy to manage this different culture, but what we're trying to do is focus on what we share. There is a marvelous, very marvelous video. I love videos, as I said. You can search it. It's called TV2 Denmark. It's a spot, a commercial. And All That We Share, it's the name of the video. And in this video, you can see people from different position, different roles, different salary, but the people from these different boxes, from these different situation, position, they share something. maybe they are struggling about love, or maybe they are stepfather or stepmother, and so on. So we share something with a lot of people in the world, and we try to focus in order to beat this challenge about the multicultural situation. We try to focus on what we share instead of what we are different about. That's the main.
Thank you very much. Giorgo, a question from Ioannis Vokas. It's based on your experience, how research on safety issues can help expanding the holistic approach to safety.
Well, I suppose, Yanis, this is limited when we're talking about research, and when we answer to academians, I believe that the answer is always the same, unlimited, and it will be very useful if you enter into this area, because we're talking about soft skills. It's not pure engineering issue, but we're talking about humans. So really, it's a big area to make your research, and this will help giving us input to the people that were hands-on, to explain things, to motivate people, to approach people, to find the best way to convince them to export safety.
Yes, I agree. There's another question from Sweeterek Anita. You said everybody is doing safety. What is the best way to convince everybody that safety matters concern us all, not only health and safety department? I think you gave an answer in your previous comments.
Correct. Yes.
Is there any...
May I ask a question to Paolo?
Yes, absolutely.
Of course.
It's very simple. If you have a client that tells you that's the very crystal clear policy, and I want in this project none to be hurt, is that then, does this make easy your job?
It can be. Nowadays, we are starting a new project, for example, in Norway. They've got a very high level of culture about H&S, and they set the target. This time, we are trying to set the target to increase our level of health. And let me say that before we start with the Safety Builders program, there was a pilot project in Copenhagen, in Denmark, and in that project, our client said, this is what I want. This is the level that I can accept about health and safety here. And so we search worldwide how we can meet this expectation, and it was hard, but is the way that we can start the pilot project for the safety program, and then we can start to use it along the company.
Thank you for the answer, but I have to complain, because if you had to look all over the world to find the solution, you should have come to us as well. Okay.
But there is also ICSI, your presentation. You worked with ICSI, the institution in France, or not?
Right. ICSI, you mean?
Yeah.
This is the program involvement for continuous safety improvement, which is a culture change program.
Yes, we worked also with them. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, good.
We have something in common as well. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So I think we have reached the time schedule of the program. So I will kindly ask the speakers to answer the rest of the question, if there is any, through emails. Yeah, let us thank once more again the speakers and their contributions to this very interesting topic on health and safety, and of course all participants for your contribution in today's discussion. Thank you very much. I will let the floor to the organizer now. Thank you very much.